What AMJA is, it is like a fatwa for the US. If you need a fatwa about anything, uh, then you call AMJA. He's a resident scholar with AMJA. It stands for American Jurist Muslim Assembly of Muslim Jurists. He's also associate professor and the president of Houston in the Guidance College in Houston. So for our youth out there, when you think about Islamic studies, it's not only Mecca, Medina, and Azhar. Now we have options. We have Houston, we have Minnesota, we have actually Islamic universities where you learn and you get a degree in Islamic studies, various, even up to a master and a PhD in some sort of an Islamic study. This is one of the topics that Dr. Main will go through. But today the focus is Islamic finance. If we have time, we'll go for zakat, and then we have time, inshallah, for your Q&A.
Should I click this one as well? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Please enjoy your dinner and your snack and just relax. It's just like a casual conversation. It's not a lecture. So just relax and just eat. Enjoy. يا ربي بالمصطفى بلغنا قصيدة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم نور قلوبنا بالعلم وزين أخلاقنا بالحلم وافتح بيننا وبين قومنا بالحق وأنت خير الفاتحين. ثم أما بعد. As you see here, our topic for tonight is just an introduction to this topic, and I prefer to call it Islamic Finance 101. Islamic Finance 101. How many components we have in this title? 3, right? Islamic Finance 101. What does finance mean to start with? When you hear so and so individual holds a degree in finance, he or she works for a financial institute. What does finance mean as an industry to start with? I mean, just to make sure we're all on the same page. Finance actually means 3 different tasks together. Okay, we do have a certain group individuals in any society who do have extra money, who wants to make money from the money that they have. So they do not just want to sleep on the money and lose the purchase power that we were discussing before Salat al-Isha. No, they want to make money from the money that they have. So they want someone to take that money and help them producing money from the money. Another party in the same society who are looking for fun. They want to go for Hajj, they want to purchase a house, they want to like pay tuition fees. So technically speaking, we call those 2 different components the fund mobilization, collecting the money from those who do have extra money, and the fund utilization, distributing that money for those who want to get some fund. And the one actually who's doing that job is doing something called the fund intermediation. Intermediation. So any finance institute, any bank, any mortgage company, right? Any finance institute whatsoever, the main job that he does is to bring, okay, is to operate as a platform where those people who have extra fund put that money with that institute, and those who are looking for fund go to that institute. Now, this is the finance, like finance as a concept, finance as a practice, finance as an industry. Well, regardless of the of the ethics and the values that finance system actually abides by. Now, if you add to this term another term, which is the Islamic one, it means that we are not talking about finance in general. We're just zooming in, discussing a certain finance system that abides by certain principles and ethics. And those ethics and principles belong to Islam as a religion. Maybe to our surprise, that if the main component or the main characteristic of the Islamic finance is the ban of riba or interest, the one that you see in the bottom here, that this is something common between Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, believe it or not. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who told us that Allah Azza wa Jal has prohibited the Jewish community from dealing with interest. He said, وَأَخْذِهِمُ الرِّبَا وَقَدْ نُهُوا عَنْهُ. They used to trade with interest, deal with interest, while they were prohibited from doing so. Several places in the Bible, maybe we do have like a big question mark when it comes to the authenticity of the Bible. But if you put the authenticity aside and just grab any Bible and just read, you will come across several verses either by Isa alayhi salatu wasalam or by the disciples who were like clearly prohibiting their followers from dealing with interest. And it goes without saying that Islam actually does prohibit interest. When you hear the term Islamic finance, it should come to your mind that this is the system that every single individual getting involved in it, whether you are the financier, the one who provides the money, or you are the recipient, or you are the mediator, the commissioner, regardless of whatever role you might have. In this system, actually, there must be transparency and integrity in a sense that every single party has to know his duties and responsibilities and rights from day one. There is no vagueness, there is no ambiguity. Okay, who is paying the money? Who is running the money? Who is managing? Okay, what if one of the partners did not like fulfill his financial commitment? What if someone passed away in the middle? What if someone changed his mind? Right? Who will be doing the job? Is the principal guaranteed? Is the profit? All these like different details have to be incorporated and clearly communicated between all involved parties. Ethics and values. This is one of the main characteristics of the system. That if a product or commodity or merchandise or a partnership is created to serve a cause that is in a clear contradiction with the Islamic principles. Something stands against the ethics and the values of the society. Anything related to haram business, maybe gambling, maybe winery, maybe nightclub, maybe adult entertainment, anything that's well known to be haram, then case dismissed from day one. Right? I do like Sharia compliance consultation for several companies. The very first question before I accept the offer, what is the core business of the company? What do you want to achieve at the end of the day? If the final product is a halal one, then we can sit down and talk, right? If the final product or the outcome result of that partnership is something haram, against my principles, my ethics, my values as a Muslim, then case dismissed. I cannot take that that contract to start with. Commoditization and asset-backed means that when you get involved in any Islamic finance practice, again, you have to make sure that you take into consideration the well-being and the best interest of the society at large. You need to produce something, you need to buy, you need to sell, you need to manufacture, you need to commission, you need to add some value to the society, and that's why you justify the profit that you make. Anything that brings you profit, okay, without producing anything that's really valuable, really beneficial, really like brings some interest to the community at large, you should stay away from it. Maybe you have heard about those like different financial instruments in the stock markets, options, derivatives, futures, CDS and CDO and bonds, and all these nonsense, with all due respect, nonsense financial instruments are not something that you should get involved in. When you hold, for example, like a derivative, you know what does mean? It's just a connection, like a piece of paper that's connected with a certain index. You pay certain contribution on a monthly basis. Okay, with that connection, if that index or that group of companies make a profit, you lose money, and if they lose money, you make profit. I mean, is this the business that you want to get involved in as a practicing religious Muslim who want to make halal profit? Is this, I mean, what kind of value you are adding to the society when you hold a derivative or you hold the future, or you hold an option? This is not the business that you want to get involved in. So make sure that it is a commoditization and asset backs. Again, you get involved in something that makes sense, something that is beneficial, something that is valuable, something that provides service or help or support to the community at large. And as I said in the beginning, maybe the most important characteristic is the ban of riba. So that is Islamic finance. Why I'm calling this presentation Islamic Finance 101? Because Islamic finance actually is like as a as a subject, it's a very detailed one. You can discuss the management component of it. You can discuss the the like the risk management. You can discuss the operation. You can discuss the fiqh part of it. You can discuss the contemporary financial issues that people ask about nowadays. So it's not close to, well, it is literally impossible to cover everything that you have in mind, like in one cinema, like seminar, 1 or 2 hours. And that's why I'm calling 101. All the technical tiny details are not supposed to be a part of our discussion for tonight. Let's say, for example, that we concluded together that traditional mortgage, right, is not a halal, is not a halal option. What is the alternative? How about those Islamic mortgage companies? Do they do a good job or bad job? All these different details are not 101. Those are maybe 300 or 400 level Islamic finance. If you are interested, you need to join Guidance College for our Masters in Islamic Economics and Finance. Inshallah, we'll answer all those questions there in the college, but not here in this presentation. Let's move on. In order for us to talk about riba, well, we have to come up with a definition of riba. Everybody knows that riba is haram, interest is haram, usury is haram. What do you mean by riba? As I always say, like if you attempt to educate yourself, you go to any of those classical fiqh books, you just open and read, you will be coming across several examples that are absolutely outdated and very, very irrelevant to our society. All those examples mentioned in those books are absolutely correct and very, very valid ones, do not get me wrong. But they are outdated, they do not belong to our society. Exchanging barley for wheat, exchanging date fruit for date fruit with equality, with inequality, okay? Exchanging sugar for rice. All these examples like do present a certain level or certain category of riba, but this is not the riba that you are talking about. Muslims in the USA in 2024 do not exchange barley for wheat or like apple for orange or sugar for rice. If you want to buy some sugar or rice, you grab your phone, you go to that app, you just make an order. Within 1 or 2 hours, you will find the order in front of your house, and you use your debit card, your credit card. Sometimes you use even cryptocurrency to purchase whatever you want. So all those examples are very irrelevant to our society, and that's why the more you read, right, without being supervised, without having a structured knowledge, you might get lost way more than benefiting yourself. I wanted to forget about those big names that you always hear about riba. Riba al-fadl, riba al-nasa, riba al-nasi'a, riba al-duyun, riba al-jahiliyyah. Forget about everything and just focus on this very particular definition of riba. Here is the definition. The premium that must be paid by the borrower to the lender along with the principal amount, either as a condition for the loan or for an extension of its maturity. And I want you to drop the second part, which is the extension of its maturity, and just focus on the very first one, as a condition for the loan. One more time. It is the premium that must be paid by the borrower to the lender along with the principal amount as a condition for the loan. Period. That's it. What does that mean? If you ponder more on this definition, you will find out that we are talking about two different categories or kind of money. There's something called the principal and something called the premium. Is that correct? Principal and premium. Can you sense any kind of partnership here? Anyone is taking any liability or risk in this, in this definition? How many parties we have here? We have two. We have the borrower and we have the lender. We have a borrower, we have a lender, which makes it clear from day one that there is no partnership here. There is no partnership. Lender and a borrower. You walk to Bank of America or Chase or Wells Fargo or Capital One and you apply for $100,000 loan. It could be could be investment loan, it could be personal loan, it could be business loan, it could be student loan. That loan actually is granted to you for a certain APR, annual percentage rate. If your application for $100,000 is approved, okay, for 5%, it means that you take that money, right, and you come back within 1 year paying the bank back how much? 105 APR, like simple interest, annual percentage rate. And if you want to keep that money for 2 years, then you have to pay back how much? 110. Am I correct? If you want to keep that money for 10 years, then 150, as simple as that. Well, riba, which is the premium here. Premium actually is whatever you pay on top of the principal. Definition actually shows clearly that Bank of America is not initiating any partnership with you. You take that money in a very positive way. You are absolutely by yourself. Take that money, you make profit, you break even, you incur loss, you file like bankrupt, you lose everything, you lose your life and your business. Bank actually does not care about it. By the law of the land, the bank actually does have the right to go after you in the court and ask for the principal and ask for the premium on top of it. The bank is not taking any risk whatsoever. So I want you just to have this definition in your mind clearly. Premium that must be paid by the borrower to the lender along with the principal amount as a condition for the loan. As a condition for the loan means that if you tell the banker or the loan officer, okay, I'm willing to take the 100, but because of me being practicing Muslim, I cannot pay interest. Okay, what answer you will be hearing from him? Well, you are in the wrong place. You go to your mosque and ask them for your money for free. Okay, we are not making. I mean, we're not a charity organization. We are a bank. If you want to take the money, then you have to pay us the price of that money. Go and find somebody else who is willing to give you money for free. So it is a, I mean, as a condition for the loan means that if you do not commit yourself from day one to pay that 5%, right, and you sign, okay, and you abide by the agreement, then no money for you. Riba actually is unavoidable. Why we are calling it riba? Because again, the bank is not taking any liability. The bank is not taking any risk. The bank is not initiating a partnership with you. If it is, for example, mudaraba, as I will be explaining, here is the money. If you make a profit, we share the profit, whatever we agree upon. Okay, if there is no profit, then I will be taking my money back, and that's it. If there is a loss, right, and it is proven that there was no negligence or misconduct or mismanagement from the operator or the manager, believe it or not, the bank cannot even go after you and ask for the principal. That is the Islamic finance one. So from now on, whenever I say riba, okay, I refer to this one. I want you to know it like by heart. By the way, this presentation is not copyrighted. I just sent a copy to Abu Bakr Brother Ali. If you are interested, you can just take a copy. And there is another book that we teach at Guidance College called Interest-Bearing Transactions in the U.S. Finance System. Interest-Bearing Transactions in the U.S. Finance System. The book is not copyrighted. It's for free. Please feel free to take a copy and to distribute that copy widely. So from this definition, you can call this mode of finance, or like what you call it in a very technical term, we call it a risk shifting finance. The bank is just shifting all the liability and risk from him to you. You are by your own. Bank is just sitting, relaxing, waiting for that money to be paid back. Bank does not care about the outcome result of that loan. That's exactly what we do not believe in as Muslims. We believe in something else, which is the opposite of this one. That's called the risk sharing one, as I will be explaining. So remember those two different terms: risk shifting finance as opposed to risk sharing finance. This is actually the capitalist economic and finance system. This is the global one. The one that is prevailing all over the world now is the risk shifting finance. And you can tell from now how much financial exploitation and taking advantage of others actually is taking place whenever the system is implemented. Bank again does not care about you. Bank is just giving you the money and you pay the principal back plus premium or interest on top of it. With this in mind, what kind of challenge we Muslims are facing here in the society? I don't think it is questionable whether or not riba is haram. Everybody here actually knows that riba. In fact, even our non-Muslim friends and neighbors, right, non-Muslims, they know for a fact that practicing Muslims are not allowed to get involved in riba. Is that correct? I don't think it is challenging, to know the definition of riba, because now we know very well what does riba mean from now on. By the way, this kind of riba is the most severe level of riba. So if you follow the Hanafi school of thought, or the Maliki, or the Shafi, or the Hanbali, or Madhab al Hadith, right? Whatever your fiqh background might be, unanimously all the madhab are in agreement that this category of riba is haram. This riba actually is called riba al-nasiyah or riba al-jahiliyyah. Abdullah ibn Abbas, for example, reported, كان الرجل يقرض الرجل فإذا جاء الأجل قال أمهلني وأزيدك. Before the prohibition of interest, people used to lend one another interest free, believe it or not, interest free. Here is the money for 1 year and just give it back to you. كان الرجل يقرض الرجل فإذا جاء الأجل قال أمهلني وأزيدك. Whenever the loan is due, okay, the borrower would approach the lender by saying, I know that the loan is due, I don't have money. Okay, is it an option to give me more time and I will pay you more? You give me more time and I will pay you more. So the interest actually was introduced toward the maturity of the loan. فأنزل الله سبحانه وتعالى الآية that we all know, يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وذروا ما بقي من الربا. So riba in the Quran, by the way, is this riba, is this category, which is riba nasiyah. So back to the challenge that we face. In my assessment, I might be wrong. It's not whether or not riba is haram. It's not the definition of riba. It is the discrepancy between what we experience in the day-to-day life, contracts, agreements, documents that we come across, as opposed to what we read in the traditional fiqh books. For example, in the real life in the USA, there is nothing called riba al-fadl and riba al-nasa and riba al-nasiya, and again, like barley for wheat or orange for apple. None of the above actually exist. You come across certain charges or certain payments, right? Sometimes you charge others, and sometimes you get charged by others. And you come across those payments or charges and you start like scratching your head. Is this the riba that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prohibited or not? Take, for example, penalty. There is a penalty clause in some contracts. Is this penalty riba or not? Overdraft charge, I will explain. Is the overdraft charge haram or halal? Late fees. If you have any like business in the stock market, you get dividend. Is the dividend haram or halal? Is it riba or not? Profit, for example. Commission, when you charge commission for a service that you offer. Interest, cashback, fine, compensation, honorarium, service fees, equity, shares, and the list actually goes on and on. Here's actually where the confusion is coming from. Late fees in any utility bill, overdraft charge, okay, as I will be explaining, penalty clause. Are those charges, whether you receive money from others or you pay money to others, are those different charges or payments the exact riba that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prohibited or not? Now, based on this definition, we need to find out in any partnership, any enterprise, any agreement, any contract that you want to get involved in, if it is proven, listen to this, if it is proven that someone is giving money, okay, to somebody else, and the money giver or the financier or the provider or the lender, call him whatever you want, if that money is guaranteed, right? So the other party or parties have to pay that money back regardless. If the principal is guaranteed and the premium on top of it is guaranteed as well, that is the riba that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prohibits. Very simple, very straightforward to the point. Someone is giving money to somebody else while asking for a certain return, and that return is guaranteed. And whenever the partnership is done, the other one, like the recipient of the money, has to pay back the principal. Well, that's the riba that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is prohibiting. Principal is guaranteed, return on top of the principal is guaranteed, done deal. That's the riba. So our job actually is just to find out or try to unlock the secret of those contemporary transactions and find out if it is proven that someone is not taking any risk, his principal is guaranteed, return on top of it is guaranteed. That's the riba that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prohibited. So you need to find out that very particular concept. Let's focus on something important here, qaida fiqhiyya or fiqh maxim. Sometimes you get confused. Okay, XYZ so-called Islamic mortgage company in the USA, okay, is offering you finance based on murabah or based on musharaka or based on like ijara. Ijara means lease to own. Murabaha cost plus. Musharaka means declining partnership. Well, if there is like a declining partnership, you need to show me that the Islamic mortgage company is owning the property jointly with me. Is that correct? And when it comes to expenses like maintenance and tax and insurance, we share the expenses proportionally because we are partners. And that's why you justify the money that you charge me because you are my partner. In the same way that you make money, you need to take the liability and the risk or the potential loss that I'm taking, right? If none of the above actually applies, then believe it or not, what is called declining partnership or murabah or ijara, actually it is not. It is not. We do not care in the Islamic finance system. We do not care about the names or the terms that or the labels that we give to those agreements. What we care about is the essence and the reality of the deal, right? Just another example. I'm telling my brother here, here is my phone. Okay, I'll give you this phone as a gift, but you need to gift me back $100. Is this a gift? No, it's not. It's just a sale agreement. I'm calling it a gift, but actually it is not. Okay, I'm giving you a commodity in order for you to pay me back, $100. Well, that's a sale agreement. So the قاعدة فقهية, the fiqh maxim goes, العبرة في العقود. Always have it in mind. العبرة في العقود للمقاصد والمعاني لا للألفاظ والمباني. What matters in transactions is the essence and the reality, the spirit, the actual nature of the agreement. What matters in transactions is the essence and the reality, not the wording or the formality. So we don't care about those big names that like people add to contracts, mudaraba, musharaka, murabaha. If there is no actual risk taken by the financier, right? Actual risk and a potential loss, right? Then that contract is not a murabaha, even if it is called otherwise. Okay. Likewise, just for discussion purposes, you went to Bank of America or Chase, right, to finance a house, and they agreed to own the property jointly with you and to share the expenses throughout the whole 30 years agreement, maintenance, tax, and insurance. Even if they call this deal traditional mortgage, right, or interest-bearing loan, well, it is halal because we do not care about the names. We care about the essence and the reality of the deal that you sign with the bank. Now, our job actually is to unlock the secret of those contemporary transactions to find out if it is proven that someone is offering money without taking any risk. That money is guaranteed. The return, the premium, the surplus, call it whatever you want. Profit, riba, we don't care about names. Principal is guaranteed. Return on top of the principal is guaranteed. That's the riba that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prohibited. Let's take some quick examples. What do you think about saving account? Saving account. Some people think that saving account actually is halal. Okay. Before you answer this question, let me give you an example. I do have $10,000. Okay. And Bilal actually was asking me for a loan. So then, okay, here is $10,000. You have from now until the end of 2024. You need to pay me back $11,000. Here is 10, and the 10 has to be paid back how much? $11,000. Are you catching up with me here? Okay. What do you call this deal between me and Bilal? Interest-bearing loan. Is that correct? Okay. What if I change my mind? Instead of giving Bilal the 10,000, I went to Bank of America and I opened a saving account. And based on the agreement that I signed with Bank of America, they have to pay me back $11,000 by the end of 2024. They have to pay me back $11,000 by the end of 2024. Is there any difference between the deal that I have done with Bilal as opposed to opening a saving account? The answer actually is no. Here, my principal is guaranteed and the return, which is 1,000, is guaranteed. Here with Bank of America, the principal is guaranteed by the FDIC, by the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. I can go after Bank of America and ask for my money. And I don't care about what Bank of America does with my money. They want to sleep on the money, they want to shred the money, involve the money in a halal business and a haram business, lending that money for interest, giving that money away for free. I don't care. $10,000 have to be paid back to me how much? $11,000. Okay. And actually, Examples actually go on and on. So saving account to start with is not a halal option. Let's just put some basic rules here. Opening a traditional saving account is not halal. Why? Because the principal is guaranteed and the return on top of the principal is guaranteed as well. Let's take quickly another example, which is the home mortgage. I'm going to just skip the overdraft chart. Home mortgage is the traditional way of mortgaging homes in the USA. Is it halal by default or haram by default? Again, let's just unlock the secret of the transaction. What does it mean for you to finance a house in a very traditional way? Do you know that you are getting involved in three different agreements simultaneously? Do you know that? There is a sale agreement where you purchase or you buy a house from the landlord, right? And because you do not have, how much is the average here in Los Angeles? $700,000 or 1 million? Because you do not have 1 million? No? More? Two? So, because you do not have $1 million, you go to a mortgage company and you apply for mortgage, right? Once your application is approved, the mortgage company would write a check or just ACH or Zelle or whatever, wire transfer the money on your behalf to the landlord. That $1 million has to be paid back how much? $1.2 million within the next 20 years. In order for Bank of America to secure their fund, just to make sure that they can go after you, right? They just put a lien on the property, and that's why you see their name on the title of the deed of trust, Bank of America. Some people mistakenly think that Bank of America actually is the owner of the house. No, they are not. Wrong answer. They are the lien holder and not the owner. You are the owner. You are the victim. You are the borrower, and you are the owner at the same time, right? So we ended up having how many components, how many segments? We have sale agreement, and we have loan agreement, and we have mortgage agreement, right? We Muslims do not have any issue with the sale agreement. وَحَلَّ اللَّهُ الْبَيْعَ وَحَرَّمَ الرِّبَا. Well, we do not have an issue with the mortgage agreement in a sense that if someone is lending you money, and he or she is asking for secured loan, asking for collateral, for example, someone is asking me for $100 as a loan for 1 day, and I do not know him well. Is it okay for me to ask for a collateral? Give me your watch or give me your phone. I'm going to keep it with me, and here is the money. Once you decide to come back with the $100, I will give you back your watch or your phone. Is there anything wrong with that? There is nothing wrong with that. Well, this is the rahan or the mortgage that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala indicated in the Quran, where he said, وَإِن كُنْتُمْ عَلَى سَفَرٍ وَلَمْ تَجِدُوا كَاتِبًا فَرِهَانٌ مَقْبُوضٌ. الرهان actually is the rahan. الرهان is the rahan. الرهن is the mortgage. الرهن is the mortgage. So we do not have an issue with the mortgage agreement. We do not have an issue with the sale agreement. We have a big concern when it comes to the loan agreement, right? Because again, the bank is offering you the money. The bank is not purchasing the house and selling it back to you for a markup. The bank is not purchasing the house and renting or leasing that house to you while taking care of the maintenance and the tax and insurance. The bank is not purchasing the house jointly with you and taking care of the expenses proportionally throughout the whole agreement loan. None of the above. The bank is just offering you money, and that money actually is guaranteed. They can go after you, and the premium on top of the money is guaranteed as well. So by default, any mortgage agreement actually is not halal. Some people say, oh, hold a second. We have three different components. Two of them are halal, and one of them is haram. So the sale agreement is halal, and the mortgage agreement is halal. In any democratic society, we go with the majority, right? So two halal against one haram, the whole deal should be halal. Is that correct? Well, in the Islamic finance system, actually, it goes the other way around. If it is proven that a certain segment, like one segment in any contract, in any deal, is absolutely haram, that segment, that component is way more than enough to ruin the whole deal and to make it a haram. So financing homes in a very traditional way, like mortgaging homes, a very traditional way, is not a halal option. Let's just set some basic rules here. Let's take some other examples. Do you think that cashback is halal or not? What does cashback mean? Cashback means that you have your own credit card, and when you hold the credit card, it means that you borrow money. Is that correct? You borrow money. So if I give you $100 and ask you to pay me back 110, right? What do you call this? Interest bearing loan. Is that correct? If I'm to give you 100 and ask you to pay me back only $100, what do you call it? Interest free loan. If I'm to give you $100 loan and ask you to pay me back $90, what do you call this one? That is the opposite of riba, because the one who is benefiting here is not me, the lender. The one who is benefiting is the borrower. So cashback actually is completely the opposite of interest. Opposite of interest. You as a credit card holder, you use your credit card to purchase items for $100. Because of the 5% or 10% cashback promotion by your credit company, the net amount that you pay to the company is how much? $90 only. You borrow 100 and you pay it back $90. So that's completely the opposite of riba, which makes it clear that cashback actually is halal. Remember this قاعدة: كل قرض جر نفعا للمقرض نفعا مشروطا للمقرض فهو ربا. Each loan that brings in a stipulated benefit to the lender, not to the borrower. And the one who is benefiting in this case actually is the borrower, not the lender. كل قرض جر نفعا للمقرض فهو ربا. Right? Well, if the borrower is the beneficiary, is the one who is gaining money, then that should be halal. We can go like over and over with too many examples. I want to save I want to save your time. When it comes to the Islamic finance, we wholeheartedly believe in the risk sharing model, not risk shifting model. Any of those Islamic modes of finance, the mudaraba or the musharaka or the murabaha or the ijara or istisna, must have a certain amount of risk. And that risk actually differs from one mode of finance to another. But the bottom line, what is common between all these different modes of finance, is that there is a certain measurable amount of risk that has to be taken by the money provider in order for him or her to justify or to permit the money that he is making. Take, for example, the very first one, which is the mudaraba one. Mudaraba means trustee partnership. Someone has car dealership, right? And somebody else in the community does have $100,000 and he wants to invest that one. And he trusts the car dealer. Okay. So he tells him, listen, here is $100,000, not as a loan, as a mudaraba. Here is the money, and you go ahead and just upgrade your business, and whatever profit you make, I will be entitled to 30%. Deal, shaking hand, good to go. So the car dealer took that money, not as a loan, as an investment. And he's actually investing that money on behalf of the money provider or the financier, if you wish. Based on the mudaraba, if there is an actual real net profit toward the end of the fiscal year, like after paying the overhead expenses and maintenance and tax and the insurance and any loss and any whatever, if there is anything still available there, that's the net profit. That net profit is to be divided 30-70. 30 for the financier, 70% for the manager or for the business owner, right? Well, what if there is no profit to start with? That financier will be just taking back the $100,000 and just go back home, ma'asalam, no profit. Okay. Worst case scenario, the business did not make money, did not break even. There was an actual real loss. Well, you know what? The whole principle, the whole $100,000 have been just lost. Okay, because of the bad business, because of COVID-19 or whatever. Believe it or not, the financier cannot go after the business manager and ask him for the principal, because there was no negligence, there was no misconduct or mismanagement from the manager. That is what Islamic finance is all about. It's all about the risk sharing and not the risk shifting one. Let me just skip this one. Well, briefly. Let's just take an actual example here. I mean, just to capitalize, if you wish, the difference, or conceptualize the difference between Islamic finance and traditional one. And let's go with the most common example, which is the mortgage one. Just imagine, for discussion purposes, that we have two different brothers. We have Muhammad and we have Abdullah, right? they both actually applied for mortgage. Muhammad decided to go with the Bank of America, and Abdullah decided to go with an Islamic mortgage company. Okay, with the assumption that there is an actual, real, genuine, sound, authentic Islamic finance practice, which is not the case in the USA. Let's just make it clear. There's nothing called authentic Islamic finance, with very few exceptions here. Very few exceptions. But the mainstream practice is not pure Islamic one, although it is called Islamic finance, just for discussion purposes. So Muhammad applied for $500,000 and was approved for mortgage to be paid back $700,000. Abdullah, who went with the Islamic mortgage company, was approved for $500,000 to be paid back $700,000. Someone actually has nothing, like has no background, does not know what's going on whatsoever, passing by, okay, watching the situation, he would say, well, what is the difference? Muhammad borrowed $500,000 and he has to pay it back 700. Abdullah, the Islamic mortgage one, borrowed $500,000 and he has to pay it back $700,000. What is the difference? That's a very good question. And that actually confusion or misunderstanding is not something new, by the way. I mean, this confusion between lending money. Can I get some water, please? Lending money with interest as opposed to selling and making a profit is not something new. It was actually raised, it was raised during the revelation of the Quran, believe it or not. ذلك بأنهم قالوا إنما البيع مثل الربا وأحل الله البيع وحرم الربا. So the confusion actually is always there. Confusion is always there. Now let's apply this ayah. Oh, some people said that sale agreement is like loan agreement, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala permitted the sale agreement and he prohibited the loan agreement. Now let's apply this concept on our example. Muhammad actually has borrowed $500,000 and he has to pay it back 700,000 within the next 20 years. Maintenance, tax, insurance are the exclusive responsibility of Muhammad. Something happened to the house, appreciation, depreciation, foreclosure, what else? Eminent domain, like the house has been taken by the government with no sufficient compensation, natural disaster, something happened to the house and the insurance did not cover. Muhammad actually is absolutely by himself. The mortgage company gave him $500,000 to be paid back how much? $700,000. It's absolutely not the case with Abdullah. Abdullah gets involved in something called declining partnership. Okay, المشاركة المتناقصة المنتهية بالتمليك. With the assumption that the Islamic finance practice is genuine enough, okay, the Islamic mortgage company would purchase 95% equity of that house. And Abdullah will be just, like paying 5% equity. So they started an actual real partnership. 5% Abdullah, 95% the Islamic mortgage company. And you have to see their names both on the title and the deed of trust as owners. So having the Islamic mortgage company as a lien holder only without being an owner is insufficient. We have to make sure that they own the property in the same way that Abdullah owns the property. Now, down the road, within 30 years agreement, Abdullah owns only 5%. Okay, and instead of if the rental, if the fair rental value of this house is $3,000, if the fair rental value is $3,000, the Islamic mortgage company would ask him to pay $3,500. 3,000 rent, $500 equity, because this is a declining partnership. So Abdullah would start purchasing the shares of the Islamic mortgage company. He starts 5%, 95. After 1 or 2 months, he becomes 6% owner, 94, 7%, 93, all the way until he becomes 99%, 1% the mortgage company. And then by the very last payment he makes, he kicks them out of the deal by becoming the 100% exclusive owner of the property. Throughout those 30 years or 20 years agreement, every single year, the mortgage company and Abdullah have to find out how much was the major maintenance expenses, not the wear and tear and مش عارف حنفية خربت. No, talking about something serious, right? Like roofing, like air conditioning, foundation issue, right? Anything that's serious. The expenses have to be shared proportionally between Abdullah and the mortgage company. Maintenance, tax, and insurance. Let's say after 10, 15 years, Abdullah changed his mind and said, okay, you know what? California is very expensive and I can just get rid of that house and go all the way down to Houston, Texas, like where I live. So that's fine. Put the house in the market and find out how much is the market value. Abdullah actually has made some profit because of the appreciation. Abdullah incurred some loss because of the depreciation. The mortgage company has to share that profit and loss proportionally with Abdullah. Eminent domain, foreclosure, natural disaster, something happened to the house and the insurance company did not cover, right? There was an actual real loss. Well, the mortgage company has to share all these expenses actually with Abdullah. That's the difference between what happened with Abdullah and what happened with Muhammad. Some people do not know what's going on. The mechanism, okay, the technical details are way different. Maybe if you just zoom out and look at the whole picture, yeah, 500 to be paid back, 700, 500 to be paid back, 700,000. But the amount of risk and liability the Islamic mortgage company is taking, okay, are way significant, way more than what the other company or the traditional bank is taking. In fact, the traditional bank is not taking any risk whatsoever. It's just a loan, interest-bearing loan, risk-shifting mode of finance as opposed to risk-sharing mode of finance. And the next, I'm almost done. The next issue is that why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prohibited interest? Why Allah Azza wa Jal prohibited interest? That's a very innocent and very good question, right? If you go to the bank, like your non-Muslim friend might ask you a question. If you go to a bank and you apply for $100,000 loan for 5% APR, take that money, you involve it in a business, okay, you upgrade your business, you make 10, 15, 20, 25% net profit. You pay the principal and the interest to the bank, and you keep the rest for yourself. Everybody is happy. It's a win-win situation. Why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is making it hard for us and just prohibiting interest? Here is the answer. This particular scenario does happen a lot, but it's not the only scenario that takes place in the real life. Sometimes, and I'm responsible for what I say, sometimes you take money and you do not make 20% profit. You do not make 100%. No, you make 500% profit. It does happen, and I'm responsible for what I say. You make 500% profit. Wallahi, sometimes even 1000% profit. Where is the justice? Where is the fairness? If you keep all that profit and you give to the bank how much? Only 5% plus the principal. There is no justice. There is no fairness. Now, this is maybe a very extreme example. Let's go to the other extreme example. Someone took money from Bank of America or Chase back in March 2020. What happened at that time? COVID-19. By the time you took the money, the whole economic and finance system in the USA got just frozen, locked. And that poor guy was unable to make a profit or even to break. He lost everything because of COVID-19. Well, believe it or not, the bank does have the right to go after him and ask for the principal and ask for the 5% APR. Where is the justice? Where is the fairness here? Okay. There was no negligence. There was no misconduct. There was nothing wrong from his side. It was like act of God, like qada wa qadar. Something happened against his will and he lost the money. The bank does not care about him. The bank goes after him, asking for the principal and asking for the interest on top of the principal. Where is the justice and the fairness here? So my answer is that whenever riba is incorporated, allowed to take place, okay, in any finance system, it brings a lot of injustice and a lot of financial exploitation. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually is the one who has made it clear in the Quran that the main reason, listen to this, the main reason behind sending all the prophets and all the messengers and all the scriptures and even al-mizan, the scale, is to establish justice on earth. Toward the end of Surah Al-Hadid, he says subhanahu wa ta'ala, لَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا رُسُلَنَا بِالْبَيِّنَاتِ. We have already sent our messengers with the clear evidences. وَأَنزَلْنَا مَعَهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْمِيزَانَ. And we sent down with them the scripture and the balance. Why? What is the reason? Why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did all that? قال ليقوم الناس بالقسط. That is the main reason behind doing all that. ليقوم الناس بالقسط. So people may maintain their affairs in justice. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants justice to be implemented. Of course, justice in aqidah, justice in ibadah, justice in everything. So when it comes to justice in muamalat, okay, you are incorporating the injustice. You are just enforcing the injustice on earth where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants justice to be implemented. So you are standing against the will of Allah Azza wa Jalla. And that's why riba is prohibited every time, everywhere, because whenever riba is implemented, it does actually bring a lot of injustice. I can go over and over briefly. Muslim community needs more education in those contemporary issues like cryptocurrency, student loans, and retirement accounts, and investing in the stock market, insurance, home mortgage, and banking. We have to make sure, excuse me, we have to make sure that we abide by the Islamic principles in our muamalat, in our business transaction, the same way that we abide by the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in our ibadat. So we need to obey Allah Azza wa Jalla in our muamalat in the same way that we obey Him subhanahu wa ta'ala in our ibadat. Guidance College, the institute that I'm representing tonight, has nothing to do with guidance residential, so do not get confused. I'm not a double agent here. Guidance College is just a degree granting institute. It has nothing to do with guidance residential, the Islamic mortgage company. We do have masters in Islamic economics and finance, and I would highly recommend our youth in particular to join this program. Today, actually, I had a conversation with Bilal, and inshallah, he's seriously considering joining Guidance College for masters in Islamic economics and finance. Did you change your mind or still? Inshallah, one day, yeah? Sorry. So Guidance College is purely online, evening and weekend college, very affordable tuition fees, and we do have actually in-house scholarship and financial aid for those who cannot afford paying the tuition fees. Short-term solution, long-term, we can talk a lot. By the way, actually, starting 2020-21, I found out that teaching and educating the Muslim community is insufficient. I need to get one step forward by getting involved with the Muslim community, helping them establish their own Islamic finance or business or partnership as a Sharia compliant one. So actually, I do Sharia compliance consultation for those who want to talk to me regarding any business opportunity. You can reach out to me through this website. Before I open the floor for question and answer, today actually I was the khatib in Yaseen Foundation, the other masjid, did the first khutbah and the second khutbah, and I talked about Guidance College as one of the institutes who are striving to produce mashayikh and ulama and people of knowledge, okay, homegrown Muslim scholars, males and females. And I was actually telling the community that this is a very noble mission that we need to coordinate and to collaborate together to make sure that those institutes actually are moving on with their mission, because we do this job on behalf of the Muslim community. And I told my community today that Guidance College is a 501c non-for-profit organization, tax exempt, and it is an eligible zakat recipient as well. Under the category of al-fuqara and al-masakin, you can pay zakat al-mal or prepay zakat al-mal before the month of Ramadan, whatever you have in mind to pay next week. Like when Ramadan starts, you can pay it from now or prepay it from now to support the noble cause of Guidance College. As I said here in the presentation, we do have in-house financial aid and scholarships. Alhamdulillah, a lot of new rivers to Islam applied for admission to Guidance College, and they cannot afford paying the tuition fees. Alhamdulillah, we just give them in-house financial aid and scholarship with the impression, with the hope that the Muslim community, inshallah, will continue supporting Guidance College with their donation, with their zakat. So under the category of al-fuqara al-masakin, you can pay zakat al-mal. Under the category fi sabilillah, as a whole institute for the cause of Allah, you can pay zakat al-mal. And under the category of al-muallafati qulubuhum, New University of Islam, you can pay zakat al-mal. To be honest with you all, the outcome result today, like the collection wise, was below the expectation. So I was hoping that maybe tonight, inshallah, we can give it like another push by sponsoring a student or so, or maybe like more than one student. Just to give you an idea, sponsoring one student for the bachelor's degree in Islamic studies, like 4 years, $10,000, zakah eligible, guaranteed. If you want to sponsor a student for the associate degree, like 2 years only, that's $5,000. 1 year, that is only $2,500. Do you think that we can maybe sponsor a student tonight? Can we just give it, inshallah, like a push? Anyone who is willing to sponsor a student for $10,000 from his zakah, from his donation, sadaqah, on behalf of himself, on behalf of someone maybe like passed away, want to give him or her a gift in the month of Sha'ban, a few days before Ramadan. Anyone, inshallah, who is willing to make it happen, squeeze his budget like more, give it like a push, saying that Alhamdulillah, I believe in the noble cause of guidance college. I wanna, be a part of the success of this project, inshallah. Like maybe two brothers with 5,000 each, to sponsor a student. Can we, inshallah, make it happen? I will give you, inshallah, the floor for question and answer just within 1 or 2 minutes. But please help me, supporting financial guidance college financially and securing more fund for the college. How about sponsoring a student for 1 year, like four brothers and sisters, 2,500 each to sponsor a student? Do you think that is doable, inshallah? Maybe you can break it down to like make an installment, and we do not charge interest, by the way. 2,500 is gonna like stay as is. So one-time payment, you break it down to 1 year, more or less, is gonna be the same. Anyone, inshallah, who's willing to make it happen? Anyone? $2,500. How about the standard donation, like the $1,000 donation? Can we see, inshallah, 10 hands with 1,000 each? Anyone, inshallah, who is willing to make it happen? Going extra miles, squeeze your budget a little bit. Okay, paying zakat al-mal from now. Jazakallah khairan kathiran, akhi. Barakallahu laka fi ahlika wa fi malik. Barakallahu fi. Who will be matching my brother here with 1,000? 1,000. Any match? 1,000 from the sister's side. Can you just go like extra miles, squeeze your budget a little bit, prepay zakat al-mal from now, 1,000? Anyone, inshallah, who's willing? You know what? Maybe you can just secure 5,000 for tonight to sponsor a student for associate degree. Is that doable? Can we see like a few hands with 500 each? Is that doable? Easier? 500? Anyone who's willing to make it happen? Only 500. Jazakallah khairan kathiran, akhi. Barakallahu laka fi ahlika wa fi malik. Any match for my brother here? Another 500? 500? Are you like scratching your head or just raising your hand? So that's another 500. That's 2,000. I do have a credit card machine here, and there's a donation box for the cash, and we have pledge form. So please go ahead and like if you would like to, and just fulfill your pledge from now before I leave, inshallah. You know what? One more 500 to sponsor a student for 1 year, and I will stop. I promise. Last 500. So far, Jazakallah khairan kathiran, that is $2,500. If you want to donate less than 500, the floor is yours. Okay, whenever I finish, inshallah, here is the credit card machine. So, alhamdulillah, we secure 2,500 sponsoring a student for 1 year. Jazakallah khairan kathiran. Barakallahu lakum fima anfaqtum. Wa baraka lakum fima abqaytum. Allah bless whatever you paid for His cause. May Allah bless whatever you kept for yourself. And the floor is definitely yours for question and answer. Let me start from my right side here. Please limit yourself to one question only. One question per brother or sister. I will not go back to you. So if you have, sisters, please go ahead. Right. Any question here? Yes, sir.
First of all, thank you for the presentation.
Sure.
And my question is, due to the money depreciation, for many factors like inflation, for example, so how about a loan where the interest rate is equal or below the inflation rate? Is this considered as riba or not?
Right. You reminded me actually of something important that subhanAllah, I had a plan, believe it or not, to talk about it, but I forgot. So thank you for reminding me. Now, for those, before I answer a question, for those who do have money and they do not feel comfortable, like me, putting that money in the stock market. By the way, I had my my like first-hand, very bad experience. 2.5 years ago, I just invested $10,000 in the stock market, in Sharia compliant investment, and I lost 40%. So within 1 year, 1.5 years, okay, I just withdraw the money, and it was only 6,000. So I lost $4,000. My point here is that the stock market is not stable enough. Leave aside to be profitable enough. No one actually is making 2 digits nowadays from the stock market. It's 2%, 3%. You barely set off the inflation. In fact, nowadays, whatever profit you make does not even set off the inflation. The excessive inflation that reached 12, 15% actually is still there. And that's why, like, feel, the loss or the reduce in the purchase power of the money. The best way, especially for those who do have like long-term saving plan. You do have a good amount of money and you want to save it for a good period of time, let's say 2 or 3 years. My advice, open what's called a gold wallet. Gold does have its own intrinsic value. So if you open a gold wallet account, you are not technically investing money, but you are preserving the purchase power of the American dollars that you have, because they are losing their value significantly, sometimes on monthly basis. Here is an example that's almost a real one. We have Adam, Adam and Sarah, who were born back in 1963, siblings, and their parents gifted each one of them $10,000. Okay, for Sarah, they decided to purchase actual real gold, like gold bullion, right, or gold bars. And for Adam, they just opened a saving account. After 60 years, like by the end of 2023, the actual wealth, net asset, okay, wealth that Sarah is having is $500,000, and whatever Adam actually is having is only $60,000. You see, within 60 years, the gold actually jumped from 10,000 to $500,000, while the 10,000 jumped to $60,000 only, right? Do the math, and you will find out that putting the money that you have or purchasing gold is the best option. And if you agree with me, I highly recommend this company. This is actually a Sharia compliant one. It's called Fi Wallet, PHI Wallet, FiWallet.com. You just download their app. I think until today they do not allow purchasing. Sorry, depositing like American dollars. They allow only euro. So within maybe 1 or 2 weeks from now, they're gonna like update the app, and you will be able to just connect that app with your bank account and start transferring American dollars to this app and just purchase gold. It is an actual physical allocated gold deliverable to your house if you would like to. It's not a gold certificate. No, it is an actual real gold. And if you want that gold to be delivered to your house, it will be delivered to your house. So this is, I would like to bring to your attention the importance of a gold wallet. Now, to answer your question, loan is a loan. And loan in the Islamic finance system is not a mode of finance, by the way. It is not. Yani you are not supposed to give loan to others for business purposes. There's nothing called al-qard al-tijari or al-istithmari. Okay? Al-qard actually, or the interest-free loan, is an act of devotion. Okay? You bring yourself closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by giving someone some cash money because he or she is in a very desperate financial situation. You give him money to do a surgery or to pay for the tuition fees of his kids, or to pay for the rent of his house for maybe a few weeks, few months, and then he or she has to pay you the money back. A part of the package that you are taking is to incur the loss or to incur the inflation. If you give me $1,000 for 1 year, you are not supposed to accept from me more than $1,000. الديون ترد بمقدارها لا بقيمتها. Period. Loans loans and debts are to be paid back with their exact amount, not with their exact value. If you know that person who is asking for your money as a loan wants your money for business purposes, please do not give him the money, because actually it makes no sense whatsoever. Why should I give my $100,000 as an interest-free loan to somebody else who has a business, who wants to take money, while both of us are practicing Muslims? We do not deal with the interest. Is it fair enough for me to give him $100,000 for him to use it and to upgrade his business and to make money from my money, and then after 1 or 2 years coming back to me with a big hug, oh Sheikh, Jazakallah khair, thank you, here's your money back? Seriously? I mean, is it fair for me to give you the money to to use it and to give me the principal only? Absolutely, it's not fair. So if you want my money for business purposes, let's sit down and talk business, right? I can give you the money musharaka, I can give you the money mudaraba, I can give you the money istisna, whatever the mode of finance might be. But when it comes to interest-free loan, it is an act of devotion. It is a not ibadah, but actually it is amalun salih. It's a righteous deed that you bring yourself closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you are not supposed to accept anything more than the actual principal amount that you have given to others as a whole. Clear? Right. Yes, sir. You can actually work as a consultant for those who do have, like, who do have companies like me. Yeah, I work as a professor at guidance. I teach like every now and then, and I work as a consultant. You will find my name on different like Muslim-owned companies. Some of them IT, some of them car dealerships, some of them investment in the stock market. Take this one for example. Yeah, Zaki Financial. Like this is an Islamic investment company. I'm the Sharia consultant of this company. Okay, they have investment in the stock market, IRA or simple investment account. So I do consultation. I do consultation for them. Fi Wallet, for example, I'm the Sharia consultant of this company. But you can do the same. Like once you become like a professional Islamic finance with the minimum of master's degree, Islamic economics and finance, you can just work as a consultant. You can establish your own like Sharia compliant business. You can work for those Islamic investment companies, right? You will be having different opportunities. There is no actually one size fits all. If your job is to like pave a way for them to incorporate Islamic finance options, and you know the system very well, that the system does allow you to be that individual who comes up with certain modes of finance, like a musharaka one, an ijara one, and a istisna one, for example, go for it. But is it the case or not? Are you talking about working for like Bank of America or Chase or Capital One or Wells Fargo? If you work as a consultant and your exclusive job is to come up with those so-called products, then go for it. We would love to see as many options for the Muslim community as possible. But the question here, can you do that, given that the whole system is a very corrupt one, is a very riba, based one, giving the severe incompatibility between the Islamic finance and the traditional finance. Can you do that job? If the answer is yes, I can do it, well, please do it. Do us a favor and provide for the Muslim community as many Islamic alternatives as possible. No. That was Amin Housing, because Amin Housing actually does not have anything to do with the secondary market. They do not sell their contents to Freddie Mac and Freddie Mae. And that's why if you check, just Google Amja Islamic mortgage companies. This one. So this one, Habibna, shows that Amin housing is the Sharia compliant one. You see here? Yes. Well, it was in the real life, Habibna. There is no white and black, right? Uh, from a pure Islamic finance perspective, if a certain agreement or contract does not have any glitches or any violations, then it's halal by default, right? You don't have to come up with any justification, okay, to to have it. Well, it's halal, and the more glitches and violations that agreement has, we need to come up with sufficient amount of haja and need to permit it. Now, if that agreement is a purely haram one, then we have to have ضرورة, necessity to permit it. على مبدأ الضرورات تبيح المحظورات. So when it comes to Amin housing, it was, I would say, 80% Sharia compliant. And after they consulted with us, they asked me and Sheikh Salah Hassan and Sheikh Jamal Zarabozo, three of us, to review their contract. That was maybe 12, 13 years ago. And we found some glitches here or there. We came up with suggestions and they complied with them. And that's why we updated the fatwa and we said, well, mortgaging homes with Amin housing actually is a Sharia compliant with no observations, right? When it comes to the rest of the companies, no, they are not. Right? It depends on which company you are referring to. Guidance Residential, for example, is more Sharia compliant than others. La Riba is disapproved by AMJA. Ijaron is disapproved, so it depends. Yeah, like no, no. La Riba, you see here, when it comes to La Riba actually is the absolute riba. It is the actual real riba. You see here? No. Yeah, he can. Yeah, he can do it. It's a free country. So إيجار alone, حبيبنا, is disapproved. إيجار alone is disapproved. لا ربا is disapproved. عرفت؟ University Islamic Financial is barely approved, like based on الحاجة الماسة, based on dire need. Guidance Residential is in a better shape because أخي Guidance Residential operates as a as an investment company, not as a mortgage company. So by the mortgage code, they do have the right to purchase homes, to own homes. And this is, something, significant, fundamental, makes, the finance Sharia compliant. When the company owns the house, they take like a certain amount of risk with it. See what I'm saying? So just go to like Google MJ Islamic mortgage companies and read more about it. Let me just open the floor for other questions. Yeah. تفضل يا جماعة. Almost done. تفضل.
Thanks again for your lecture. My quick question is, what would you say when you are comparing life insurance to, let's say, your health insurance, your car insurance, your commercial business insurance? What's your argument and take on that? And when you have mutual life insurance in the companies that are not connected, they're private. So when they're declaring dividends, what's your take on that?
I'm one of those like people of knowledge who believe that life insurance is halal to start with. So I'm very, very liberal when it comes to life insurance. I wholeheartedly believe that life insurance is like business insurance, home insurance, is like Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. I mean, you name it. All these different insurance opportunities are bilateral agreements, two-sided commitments. You pay a premium. No one actually is doing you a favor, even with Social Security or Medicare or Medicaid. You pay a premium in order for you to be eligible to take a certain compensation whenever a certain incident happens. So the life insurance is equivalent to Social Security. Social Security is telling you, listen, if you give me $150 a month taken from your paycheck, right? I will be paying your kids this and this amount. I will be paying your spouse this and this amount whenever you, Allah forbids, whenever you like pass. The life insurance company is telling you, listen, if you give me $150 a month, I will pay your family members upon your death one time check of $1 million. This is bilateral agreement, And this is a bilateral agreement. We either prohibit everything or we permit everything. And I'm with the opinion that all these different options actually are halal. This has nothing to do with certain options that you might have in your life insurance policy. You know that the system here is very sophisticated. Like, the system is mixing up investment with insurance. So let's draw a line between the status of having life insurance. It is halal to my knowledge. Now, this does not mean that every single life insurance policy, whether term or a whole, is halal by default. No, this is incorrect. Certain options given to you, like if you increase your premium, you will be getting, well, the default, the basic premium would entitle you or your family members to get what's called the insurance benefit. So once you die, Allah forbids, they will be getting $1 million. If you decide from now to increase your premium, they will be getting the insurance benefit, $1 million, plus the premium that you pay during your lifetime. Sometimes they call it cash advance, cash advantage, right? So they pay you back all what you have paid as a premium. If you increase your premium more and more, okay, your family members will be getting the insurance benefit, the cash back, okay, cash advance, plus interest on that cash. Well, that option in particular is not a halal one. Okay. Now, on the other hand, some other insurance companies, they offer you like an investment opportunity. Whatever you pay as a premium will be invested in your behalf in the stock market, outside the stock market. Well, we need to read that life insurance policy. What kind of investment do they have? Do they guarantee the principal during your lifetime? Do they guarantee the return on top of the principal or not? So again, there is no one size fits all. But to conclude, let's draw a line between the concept of life insurance, which is halal, and the way that it's practiced in the market in the USA, which might be halal and might be haram. Good enough? Uh, I know it's not our topic and we do not have time to discuss, but if you want to calculate your zakah, you can go to this website, to this zakah calculator. It is an online one available. Just go to zakah calculators with s.net. It is a product of Zaki Financial, this company, and they mention it clearly that I have read this calculator you see here, and I approve it, which is correct. I went through it, and I do approve it. What is good about this one is that it is a free charge. You don't have to pay anything, and you don't have to enter any confidential or personal information. No name, no social security, no date of birth, nothing whatsoever. It's just an online form. You fill it out, and the system automatically will generate an answer for you. So it helps you a lot calculating your zakah if you decide to pay it in the month of Ramadan. For those who pledged, would you please, before I leave, if you can fulfill your pledge and make a payment, I would really appreciate it. Allah jazakum khair, barak fiik. I can take maybe one or two questions before we leave. Jazakallah khair. Tafadhal, Hina.
Somebody's asking, I want to ask if credit cards are halal if we have it on auto pay and never pay.
One more time, sir.
If the credit cards are halal if we have an auto pay and never pay.
Well, it's not a pure halal option, but it's not haram because riba is avoidable. I mean, if you know how to use your credit card, you can use it for years and years without paying interest. So this category of haram is called haramun li ghayri, prohibited for its potential consequences. And that category actually would be permitted when there is a public and general need, which is the case for us Muslims living in the society. Certain items, cannot be purchased like using like certain points of sale. Do not accept debit card or it has to be credit card. To build your own credit history, you have to have a credit card. So you can use a credit card, but you need to make sure that you know how to handle it. Okay, you pay the outstanding balance every month in full before the due date to avoid paying interest. No, yes, sisters, if you have any question, please go ahead. You can ask me directly, like if you want to step out the room or just whatever they want. تخبيات هناك. نعم تفضل. It's a currency that is imposing itself in the market nowadays. It's not recommended only because of the big risk and gharar that you are taking when you purchase and you trade in cryptocurrency. But we do not dare saying, we, I mean MJ, we do not dare saying that it's haram. It's not. Okay. Again, like cryptocurrency now in 2024 is way different than cryptocurrency and like Bitcoin in 2013 and 14 when people started talking about it. It's prevailing, going like, every time, everywhere, crazy. A lot of intercontinental companies do accept cryptocurrency as a method of payment method. The IRS started charging tax on cryptocurrency, believe it or not, which means that the American government is acknowledging cryptocurrency as an asset, as a currency called whatever you want. نعم تفضل.
For zakat and stocks, do you consider it as like cash value or liquid?
That's a topic by itself. I mean, if we can limit ourselves to our discussion tonight, that will be. I mean, I have a lot to say. So.
It's like we pay like zakat and whole value or only.
If the account is an active one, someone is trading, buying and selling, then you pay the account everything on the value of the account plus the dividend. If the account is very inactive, like just for dividend purposes, you pay the account the dividend. But you need to prove that this account is inactive, because by default, every single account there is an active one. You either do the job or somebody is doing the investment on your behalf, whether the mutual fund company or Fidelity or Vanguard or Schwab, if it is like a retirement account or 401k. So you pay the account on everything that you do have an access to. If it is 401k, you don't have to pay the account on everything. Whatever accessible is zakatable. If you have an access to 50% of your 401k, okay, then 50% minus all the deductions, prescribed penalty, tax, processing fees, the net amount, the take-home amount is the zakatable one based on 2.5%. You will see all these details in the zakat calculator. نعم تفضل.
Have a recommendation for individuals and for masajid who have a good amount of cash to how they invest it versus just leaving it in
No. AMJA is a fiqh council. Guidance College is a degree granting institute. We are not financial advisors. We are not wealth managers. We just take care of the academic part of it or the fiqh part of it. But when it comes to making decisions, we are not wealth managers. So we have nothing to do with the Islamic finance practice. Take care of the Islamic finance, only theory, the fiqh part of it, the academic part of it, but not the practical part. Just to make a disclaimer. طيب جزاكم الله خير. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد ان لا اله الا انت نستغفرك ونتوب اليك. السلام عليكم ورحمه الله وبركاته. طولنا عليكم.